Venom! Venom! And welcome back, my friends, to the Buddies Munch podcast. I'm Chase.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sean.
And you guessed it, we are talking about Shang-Chi. We're talking about Venom. So, should we just get into it, boys?
Yeah, let's do the ratings. I mean, when you guys are listening to this, it's probably been out for a while. It's fresh in our minds. It just dropped. But let's jump into the ratings. Let's do it.
Say like, oh, sorry, I'll go first. I'll give it like a 6.5.
I will also give it a 6.5.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys.
Okay, Sean, you always say that, but let me just put this into perspective. A 6.5 is a 65% on a test.
It's
okay.
It's still
so that does make me feel a little
Is
better.
that okay? So like that's still
Yeah.
not a good score.
See, you know what I'm thinking is like, because my score's lower, and then I see your guys' scores higher, and I'd be like, oh, so this is your new favorite movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like a 65%, like in that term, 65%. That's still not good.
See, I'm gonna say a 4.
Okay, so 40%.
Yeah, that's out of my class. You failed.
You get
And I want to prefix this by saying I love Venom. In comics, Venom is one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character.
It's true. Sean's gone through a lot of Venom shirts over the years.
I got some new ones. I got some old ones. But just like his character, sort of the controlling the beast inside, and like his relationship to Spider-Man a lot of the times, and he even had a little bit of a solo phase, and that's kind of what the movies are based on. I guess we'll jump into what we liked about it. So what pushed that number up for you guys?
Oh, like why did we give it a 6.5?
Yeah. So what was cool about Venom? Because I really didn't like a lot about it.
Fair enough. Again, 6.5 is not that great of a rating, but the things that I did like about the movie were, man, I hate saying this, but the CGI. Venom looked like Venom. Carnage looked like Carnage. The fight scenes were cool. I'm not going to say that they were dumb or that they were not action-packed, because there was quite a bit of action.
I think Marvel always does a good job with stuff like that.
Yeah, they do. DC, on the other hand, is its own beast. When I watched Aquaman, I thought I was watching Power Rangers. I think Marvel just does a good job of the animation and the fighting. I'm trying to think what else I liked from the movie. Wow. Yeah, that's right. The other thing I loved about the movie was the cast, for the most part. I really liked Woody Harrelson as Cleese Cassidy.
Yeah, I think he was probably my favorite character.
I'll be honest, when I heard he was going to be Cleese Cassidy, everyone was pumped. I was one of the secret people that was like, this is weird.
See,
this is really
I was
weird.
One of the people who was pumped.
I know.
I saw Woody Harrelson. I was like, that looks good.
And I kind of went along with everyone. I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't know. That's kind of weird.
You didn't like it?
No, at first.
Oh,
I was just like, I was
okay.
skeptical.
Okay.
And then right as the movie started and we saw him on the screen, I was like, all right, I get it. I get the vibe. Yeah, he's got a good psycho vibe to him. So I thought he was cast very well. I thought Tom Hardy was cast well. There are other issues, but I think he did a good job acting. I'm trying to think who else. Yeah, everyone else. I thought the casting was okay. Everyone kind of felt like they fit for me.
Yeah. I liked how they really portrayed Carnage as kind of like this monster,
psycho monster.
And I mean, it's kind of what I wanted to see Venom doing in the first movie, at least, just sort of going nuts, eating people, and Eddie would have like a hard time controlling like the monster.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, that we're
no,
back
it's hard not to like divert like that, but like Chase, are there any?
So yeah, I really liked Woody Harrelson. I really wish we would have seen more of him.
Yeah,
I feel like he only had like 10 minutes of screen time, and that was it.
And they kept like pushing, like they had to push every single stereotype for a crazy person, so you knew that like, oh, this is a crazy person.
But really, besides Woody, yeah.
Did you like
no other legs?
Did you like Shriek? I thought she did okay.
Yeah, I mean, cast well, but again, like my whole thing with like Shriek and what's his face? I guess, or like Carnage, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I thought it was weird that they paired them together, but I guess that's in the comics.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
so
that's-
Shriek and Carnage.
I was really confused. I was like,
There are
why
a
would they
couple in
make
the
someone
comics.
that like,
An exact like counter.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a gripe I have, but it's whatever. Should we just jump into the dislikes?
Yes,
Honestly, I think
please.
Yeah,
we're
I mean-
already gravitating towards it.
Can I start?
Yeah, go for it.
So I didn't know a biological symbiote could hack the mainframe.
Okay. Just stick his fingers in the. It's funny because like Cletus. I mean, Cletus doesn't know anything about it. Carnage is just born, but he's just like, boop.
Yeah. You know, to anyone listening, like any like diehard fans out there is a symbiote that can do that. Scorn, they're like half mechanical robot and stuff, but that's their whole thing. They can
do
hack
that.
the mainframe. So it was super weird that Carnage is just like, oh wait, let me just and your password and and I'm in. And you're like, okay, for
That was-
some reason.
and not just like, oh, let me check out the internet. Like, let me hack into this like super like secret asylum like run by the government, something like.
Yeah.
What was that called?
Oh, and there's the-
Ravencroft.
There's the scene at the gas station where he plugs into the computer, right?
That's what we're talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I would have much rathered Woody Harrelson Google, like, where she's at. But, I don't know. Yeah, super weird that he was able to do that. I don't know. Any other dislikes before I start ranting more?
I mean, I mentioned this just a minute ago, but I feel like Carnage was everything Venom should have been. Even in this new iteration that like.
In what context, though? Because I feel like I know what you mean, but at the same time, I kind of disagree. So I like, what do you mean?
So when Woody or when Cletus gets the symbiote, and I mean partially because he's a serial killer and partially, you know, from the symbiote being bloodthirsty, they just sort of unleash, and it was like this. He rips through the prison. He's throwing people. He's eating people. He's just killing indiscriminately. Like, I feel like,
Okay.
especially on First Contact. I mean, I guess we're going a little bit back to the first movie. That bloodthirsty drive from.
I see what you mean. So are you? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But are you kind of saying that like you wish Eddie Brock and Venom didn't instantly click, where they had this power struggle, kind of?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so
Like
much
man,
about clicking.
man versus beast. Like, oh, I want to do this. Well, I'm Venom, and I say we do this, so we're gonna do this. I'm
Exactly.
like, okay.
That like, yeah, sure, Eddie is sort of the voice in the back of the head trying to like, hey, maybe we shouldn't murder everyone, but it's not something you can just be like, oh, Venom.
See, and that's the
Come
thing, like,
on.
I think we had that internal struggle, but we had it on such a dumbed down scale.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that Carnage and Venom, like, they're similar, but they're very different at the same time. Like, it was just, and again, this is the biggest, not mistake, but like the biggest thing I hated about the movie the most was the jokiness. The
Oh,
first,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
first
Oh, my
movie
God.
was Eddie Brock and Venom just joking around the whole time. The second movie was Eddie Brock and Venom joking around for 80% of the movie.
Well, you know
There
how it
was
works in
never
Hollywood.
a serious moment.
It's how it works in Hollywood. Oh, keep to the same thing. Keep that money
yeah,
going.
it's something families will understand, so we'll just keep it in there.
See, I had another.
Do you
big-
honestly think? Sorry, Chase.
yeah, go
do you
ahead.
honestly think that people like want to see that over and over and over and over and over and over again?
I think so. It's this weird formula that people don't mind because, I mean, you're looking at it as the diehard fan. You love Venom, and you know what he's about. People go into movies with zero expectation. They think that's how it is.
all right.
So
Sorry.
I had
No, you're
another
good.
gripe about that between Venom 1 and in Venom 2.
Yeah.
So Venom 1, there was the whole clash between Eddie Brock and Venom, you know, symbiote, whatnot,
Yeah.
right? Then it seemed like they figured it out. But, you know, right straight away into Venom 2,
They're clashing.
they're
again.
back at the
Yeah.
clashing. And
It-
let's see, 75% of the movie was them clashing.
Yeah.
If you could call it that. I mean,
Yeah.
clashing, not like, if you haven't seen the movie, it's not fighting. It's them literally just, let's do this. No, I don't want to do that. All right, well, we do this. No, we don't do that, Venom. Like, it's literally like Venom's the toddler and Eddie Brock is the parent. That's kind
Yeah.
of the same
Yeah.
relationship.
But like again, I felt like it was just an extension of Venom 1. And
That
again,
there was no resolution in the first movie, and it's just
well, yeah, and like the thing I said earlier about like Woody Harrelson, they cast Cletus very well,
yeah.
but you only see like a few snippets of him. It feels like.
I kind of see where you're coming from, like what you touched on earlier, Sean. Like when Cletus and Carnage disagree, you know it, because like Cletus will be like, Carnage will like smack Shriek, and he'll be like, "Dude, don't do that."
Yeah, and they
have
actually
like,
start to tear apart.
yeah, they tear apart, and
Yeah.
he's like, they have a very intense argument, and they get to the point where they're not symbiotic. Yeah, thank you.
exactly.
Which was cool, but you're right. Eddie Brock in Venom, it's just this long drawn out joke. And the other thing I hated was this weird like Venom eating chickens thing. That was stupid, man.
I mean, it's like the brain matter. Oh, but that's another thing.
But-
and that it's just another joke that oh, I need to eat this certain chemical
To stay alive.
to stay alive.
Yeah.
But I love these chickens. These are my buddies. I would never eat that. And it's like, what are you
But
doing?
My whole thing is that like I hate when movies do that, where they set themselves up with these rules only to like find a little workaround just because it's easier. Like they should have made the movie where Eddie Brock and Venom are Eddie Brock and Venom, where Venom goes off and he's like, you know what? I need to freaking live. I'm gonna go find some criminals or whoever and eat their brains. And Eddie's like, well, I mean, okay.
See, and that would have been a good way to go about it, because like,
There's this moral dilemma.
yeah, it's
Which
like,
is- yeah.
do I kill people? Well, I have to kill people. At least I'll kill the bad people, and that's actually kind of the lethal protector storyline.
Right.
And they touched a little bit on that.
But apparently he can eat chocolate and be fine.
Yeah,
Like
I don't
it's-
know,
It was weird.
but
the jokiness was unreal.
but they touched on that they mentioned Lethal Protector a couple times, and that was actually the comic book series. So Spider-Man and Venom, they're fighting, and Spider-Man's like, listen, man, we can't do this anymore, like, and so they agree. Venom's like, okay, I'm gonna go to San Francisco and do my own thing, and Spider-Man's like, I will leave you alone if stay out of trouble. So Venom goes out and ends up, and that's like the whole Lethal Protector thing, where he's taken, and the Life Foundation gets their hands on him. They end up making
Tons of symbiotes.
the 5 other symbiotes.
Yeah.
So Carnage was his first child, and then the Life Foundation made Scream, Agony,
Lasher.
Lasher,
I think it's Lasher.
Phage, and Riot. I wanna
And
say.
Riot, which was in the first movie.
Yeah, see, so Riot was actually one of his spawn, but see, this is what happens.
But he wasn't like the son, because Carnage is actually like I mean, if you want to call it that, the son of Venom.
well, they're all his children.
Well,
really.
but yeah, I mean, the others were kind of more created. He wasn't, because they only
Well, they
replicate
just-
like once a century.
they
or
just pulled
something.
the seeds out of him, is what
Yeah,
they did.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting in the first movie that Riot was in there, because Riot and the 4 others, I don't know, they come together to make up Hybrid, which I think is really cool.
5 others.
I thought it was 4.
5.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, they come together to make Hybrid, which is really cool, but we'll never see that because
It's like the big Power Rangers.
Because
They defeated
they
Riot.
already messed it up.
yeah,
And see, I know things are weird with Spider-Man because one guy owns Spider-Man and it's over here, so they couldn't do a Venom story with Spider-Man, which I think was a mistake.
I mean, there's a lot of cool stories of it. You even have Anti-Venom, you have other stuff, but I don't think we'll see it. And if we do, we're kind of getting into predictions. Maybe I'll back off
Yeah,
that.
all
for now.
right, sorry.
But,
Let's get back to the dislikes.
Chase, any other dislikes before I keep ranting?
So like the one officer, the deaf guy, not deaf, but because of Shriek, whatnot.
Oh yeah, he had like the
How he was in that pretty much the final
Yeah.
yeah.
battle, right? I don't really like what happened to him.
Oh, so he jumps up at the last minute.
He like quote unquote dies, and then his eyes glow blue at the end.
It's like,
Yeah.
there's monsters.
I mean, I personally think that's maybe I'll let you guys go first, but I think that's Shriek.
Doing what?
I think she's got some kind of power where she can like manipulate minds or something. So I think he's still alive and she got trapped by the bell, and so she was like taking into his consciousness to come get her. I don't know.
Okay. Well, that
That
was
or-
the asylum. The guy in the asylum, as they were walking in, he was like, "Oh, there's monsters. There's monsters." Like saying the same thing as the cop. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
So I mean, maybe he was controlling that guy, or she was controlling that guy.
that how the ex-wife is like even more of a perfect match than
Then Eddie.
Yeah.
than
The
Eddie.
she
well, the
Venom?
ex-girlfriend, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know if it was a perfect match, but I guess Venom just loves her. Like,
Yeah. I know she appears in the comics quite a bit, but I mean, I don't know anything about her.
you remember that scene where she was like sweet talking Venom?
That was awkward. That was really
that was really weird.
Yeah.
It's like, geez, get a room, guy.
Yeah. And her husband's like right there. He's like, "What's happening?"
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
Ugh.
stupid.
That was strange.
I don't know. I don't know why they had to turn it into a comedy. Venom's not a comedy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Marvel or Disney trying to turn something so dark to something a little bit more I don't know.
I think that's the thing too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I say this a lot, but if it were me, I would have slapped an R rating on this, and I would have made it darker.
And Venom deserves
I mean,
it.
not even. I wouldn't say darker. More accurate, I guess, is the right way to put it.
Exactly.
But this is kind of off topic. But I remember another thing I didn't like. You mentioned, Chase, that Cletus Cassidy gets very little screen time, and I agree with you. I would have liked to, for example, when he's telling his backstory, or someone's telling his backstory, I can't remember, but it shows like a drawing of him killing his grandma and his family or whatever. I would have just rather seen that.
Yeah.
I wish they would have just filmed his backstory instead of just info dumping it on me.
Yeah. I think it would have brought more life to.
Yeah, I would have
to
cared
Cletus.
about Cletus more and shown like a little more sympathy and stuff.
Well,
but-
it's kind of funny because a few weeks ago we released Candyman.
yeah,
Yeah.
And they did a similar thing.
they did.
But they did a similar thing very well.
But I liked it. Yeah. So it's just one of those things where like maybe because Candyman's horror and the way that they did it was creepy and eerie, and I don't know. I thought it fit and it was like a spooky story, but this one just kind of missed the mark for me. It just was a weird drawing, and I would have rather seen his tragic backstory. If you're gonna tell an origin story, tell me the whole story. Don't just tell me the origin story and then like a subversion of the origin story. But should we go into like prediction, or do we still just
I did
pound
have-
this movie into the ground? some more?
I had another.
Okay, you got
dislike.
another
I
one.
wanted to get your guys' opinion on the rave that Venom goes to.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Total waste of however many minutes that was.
Um,
Felt like a lifetime.
Seems
That-
like a pretty heavy-handed analogy there.
somebody thought of that joke and they just wrapped a whole scene around it. Like,
Well, not just the whole scene. Like that was like the entire separation of Eddie and Venom. And
I guess, but like he goes off, but someone decides, oh, he goes to this party for a second, and man, I don't want to like. I'm trying to be careful because I don't want anyone.
you should be accepting of everyone.
You should, but I think it's really awkward when you push it hard in a movie. That's my issue.
And
My
very
issue
out of
is-
character.
My issue is not
Yeah,
with the
very out of
content.
character.
It's not with the content. It's with the out of characterness and the very like, whoa, this is out of left field. Why is Venom at a party? Why are people not afraid of him? Why are a cool costume? Come on, give me a break. That's
Right.
not
Seriously.
like. And then
No, Venom is
like,
the costume.
why would Venom get up and start, being a spokesman? Why would he start talking to people? Why would he's kind of a loner? Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It was very out of place. It was obviously just for diversity purposes.
Yeah.
But,
That actually brings up another point that I've been thinking about. So you notice, in the club scene, his chest is completely covered with glow sticks. And if you watch the movie, so much of the time his chest is covered.
or he's not in full body,
Or he's
It's
not-
just
yeah.
the head. Yeah.
And I think obviously that's a fact to try to hide that like he's not attached to Spider-Man. because Venom has like the spider logo on his chest.
Do
But
you
if
think
there's-
that was like a creative choice or a legal issue?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It could also lead towards predictions that we have about
Yeah, I mean,
some of
Interesting.
that.
see, so we actually had to go back and rewatch that. All right, you know what? Let's jump
Let's
into it.
just dive in.
We're skipping around it too
Yeah.
much. So, for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, the end scene, Venom and Eddie escape the law and they're hanging out in a hotel room. There's some sort of like boom, some sort of ripple in space time. And then on the news is Jonah Jameson talking about Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man in the MCU. So they're bringing Venom into the MCU, probably for the new Spider-Man movie coming out in,
December.
is it December?
Yeah.
Coming out in December.
Like Christmas time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
So what do we think about that? Chase,
I think
you
that's-
had a theory about how Venom is connected to Spider-Man and like with like the hive mind thing.
Yeah, so my whole thought is because, symbiotes, whatever, given theory, I'm not too in deep into Venom lore, but my thought is, with the hive mind type thing, the multiverse splits or whatever because of whatever's happening in Spider-Man, and he gets just a glimpse because he was talking about, he was telling Eddie Brock, like, right at that moment, he's like, oh, if you could only, like, experience, a fraction
the
of...
symbiotes have the hive mind.
Yeah, and I think that's what was leading to then, multiverse split. He got part of the hive mind of someone else.
Of the Venom from Tobey Maguire's universe.
Right. And
And
that's
so
how they're
they-
going to split him in.
And so now that Venom knows about Spider-Man because the hive mind.
Okay.
That was Chase's theory.
All right. That's a good theory.
We'll see. And I think that's when he will get his Spider-Man. Or the spider.
We actually had to go back and watch that scene because we were like, okay, before the boom, nothing on his chest. We wanted to see if after the boom it appeared on his chest.
But not yet.
It didn't, but we're thinking, yeah, maybe.
Which leads us into Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
that's all.
I mean, let me ask you a question before we get into other predictions. So, if, like, let's say that theory's correct and they introduce Venom into the MCU, and more importantly, they introduce Venom with Spider-Man, what do you think the relationship will be between Venom and Spider-Man?
Now that is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the one hand, you have Venom just straight up being a good guy on Spider-Man's team, no conflict at all, and of course that is a huge middle finger to all the Spider-Man and Venom fans because they're enemies. And of course they've teamed up before, but
I mean,
Come
when you
on.
when you dive into comics, anything's possible.
Well,
but
I'm
yeah,
hoping-
of course,
but-
I mean,
Actually,
yeah.
kind of more towards my theory, part of me's thinking that because he was showing Eddie Brock, like right at that moment that it happened,
mhm,
and I'm hoping that Eddie Brock is also going to be fixated on him too.
on Spider-Man.
Right, kind of like how he was Peter Parker's, journalist nemesis, right?
Yeah, sure.
Nice journalist nemesis.
No, that's what.
No,
that's
I
what
know.
yeah.
It just sounds funny because
But-
it's like
Oh,
anyway.
But I really hope that they completely change his whole,
Yeah,
the comedy, whatever, to actual like
to being a threat.
a threat.
But that's the problem. They spent 2 movies setting him up as a non-threat. He's just a jokester.
well, here's the thing. Like, and this happens in movies nowadays, which I really hate. But they're gonna do is they need to find a reason for you to root for Spider-Man, but they also need to find a reason for you to root for Venom. So they need you to feel bad for him. So it's gonna be this weird. I mean, a classic example is the Civil War series, and that was done very well because you have 2 opposing sides that are very political, and you could take either side and still like the characters, right? One's not a bad guy, the other's not a bad guy. I mean, guess in each other's eyes.
Yeah.
But Venom and Spider-Man is more black and white in the sense where
Venom kills people, and Spider-Man doesn't. Yeah.
Venom is the quote-unquote bad guy. Spider-Man is the hero. But they're going to have to do this weird shift where it's like they're both good guys, but sometimes they fight.
Or it
And
might,
it's
Exactly.
super weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
or they might do something with like the Venom protector,
They'll
and
leave the
Spider-Man being
protector,
like,
yeah.
you're not a protector.
I hope they don't like mess up the lore or something.
Oh, no,
where
they
it's
will.
like
Oh,
Venom
they will.
actually killed Uncle Ben, and it's
Oh,
like on
God.
accident,
I
and it's
don't
like,
know.
how does he kill Uncle Ben on accident?
See,
What?
and now we're talking about all this stuff that's going to happen in the movie. There's no way they have time for all this stuff. So in
And this will probably be Venom's only appearance in
probably,
Spider-Man.
probably, yeah.
in Spider-Man, but I mean, it's gonna be a lot like before, where leading up to Endgame, or something.
I
He'll
don't
come
know.
Back into another.
I don't think so.
He'll have to. Yeah, I think he will.
I mean,
He pulls in so much money, like why not?
Yeah,
I don't know.
he'll
But,
be the
I
next
mean,
Avenger.
So they're not gonna have time to explain how that relationship works.
So
Like,
you know what?
in the Spider-Man movie, they have Tom Holland, they have Tobey Maguire, they have Andrew Garfield, they have Vulture, they have Rhino, they have Sandman, they have Green Goblin, they have Doc Ock, they have Electro. They're bringing in Venom. You're not gonna have enough time to spend time
No,
on these.
if the pattern's the same, they are just going to be.
Actually, I think
this
I know what's gonna
Spider-Man
happen.
movie is going to be 75% just messing around, and like
Uh,
20 minutes is just cameo.
Yeah. Actually, what's going to happen is like instead of Spider-Man and Venom fighting, it's just going to be what a lot of MCU stuff does, where it's like, oh, there's a bigger threat. Let's team up to fight the common enemy, and we'll just ignore the fact that we were enemies.
So who do you think that bigger threat would be?
So what I think would be cool, they won't do this. Trust me, I doubt they will. In the comics, Venom and Spider-Man actually team up to defeat Anti-Venom, which is pretty cool because he's way too powerful. He's pretty much almost killed Spider-Man. He almost kills Venom, and they're like, "Listen, this guy's out of control. Can we just team up and kill him real quick?" And
you
it's
think
like,
so?
"Yeah,
You think
let's
they'll
do it."
bring in Anti-Venom?
No, I just said it won't happen.
Oh, you said they won't bring in
It
Anti.
will not
Okay,
happen.
okay. You
I
got my hopes
promise-
up for a second.
I promise that it will not happen because I want it to, and that's just the way things go. But no, it'll make no sense. It'll be like, oh crap, King the Conqueror, he's bad, and Venom's like, yeah, he's pretty
Oh,
bad. And then
yeah.
they'll be like, let's team up, and it's like, all right, I'm
So just
still
be
mad
all-
at you.
So then, where does Sinister Six come in? Oh, well,
I don't know.
well, that's
Plug it
gonna, that's gonna be because there's gonna be 3 Spider-Mans and the Sinister Six, and they're like, we got you outnumbered 2-1, and Venom's gonna be like, nope, I'm here, ha ha, ha, I will eat your face, and Eddie
Yeah,
will be like,
he's-
don't eat their faces, come on.
Yeah,
Don't,
I think we.
don't confirm that. You're gonna hurt me.
Well, and again, with the whole time, there's Doc Ock, GG. You got probably 2 other Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So, like, obviously,
Spider-Man.
they're going to keep making Spider-Man movies, but like in the teaser, we got teased with so much stuff. I mean, just those. Who else do we get? Doc Ock, Green Goblin.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
but
Rumored
we know
2 other
that
Spider-Mans.
we know that Electro's going to be in it. We know Vulture's going to be in it.
Maybe
Okay,
Tobey Maguire.
we know
But
Sandman's going to
How
be in it.
long do you think they'll be in it?
Well, if they're doing a Sinister Six timeline, then the whole time they'll be like the bad guys.
I guess my prediction is that like we're gonna have with the new Spider-Man that's coming out. I have this feeling it won't just be a nice long story for 2 hours. It's gonna be this weird snippet of multiverse is hard because I think they're
Oh,
gonna
that's
go into a
right. They're
multiverse,
bringing
go
in
into-
Doctor Strange,
go
too.
into a multiverse, and it's gonna be just like. Not one movie that's 2 hours. We're gonna watch a bunch of 10-minute movies. I think that's what it's gonna. happen.
Yeah.
You think so?
We go into multiverse. Boom. We got you, Green Goblin. We go to multiverse. Boom. We got you, Doc.
So
Ock.
it's just going to
Oh.
be like Doc Ock chasing Tom Holland through the dimensions.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be this weird in Scooby Doo where they go through the doors.
Oh.
It's pretty much that. Just like, that's pretty. It's just 2 hours of that.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
But
Goodness.
let's talk about multiverse theory or just how that's going to work. Do you guys have any thoughts on? Was it a good idea? Was it a bad idea?
Tell him your mutant theory.
Chase is our theory guy, by the way.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
so with Shriek being a mutant,
Yep.
and
Okay.
go.
So Shriek's a mutant. We know that.
Wait. How do you know that?
So, because, like Wolverine, he's supposed to be in the Avengers, but he's not. Right?
Yeah, technically. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of heroes that are supposed to be in there, but
So-
didn't make it.
Right. And, licensing, whatever, but I think Disney is now going to explain this away as, in my theory, you got Professor X, and he's wiped everyone's memory. So that there are actual, mutants have been around all the time, but because of the whole clash between, mutants and non-mutants, he erases everyone's minds, right? So, like, I'm picturing Avengers, but then, like, someone gets them, the memories come back or something, and you have Wolverine standing right in with the Avengers,
Okay.
I don't know, different things.
That's not the theory you told me the other day, where you were talking about.
I have so many theories. Which
Yeah,
theory?
no,
Remind me,
so-
because I was
so-
close to the other theory.
So you were telling me that, like, with Strange messing with all the different universes, and then at the end he's going to be like, "Oh, we need to fix this," and I'm just going to slap all the universes together
yep,
into one,
yeah.
and then the X-Men show up.
That's another theory,
or
yeah.
something.
I don't know, but they're going to do it sloppy. That's all I know.
No, I mean, see, I think they brought in all this multiverse stuff way too early.
Yeah.
because it gets messy.
A multiverse thing should be more of like a climax, like
Yeah.
an end game kind of thing. Because the problem is when you introduce that stuff, it's kind of like Rick and Morty, where there's so many fan theory, and Rick and Morty's funny because it's like you can't keep track of it, and that's kind of the point. But like you bring in so many questions that won't get answered, and you bring in so many what if scenarios. Well, if you did the multiverse thing, why can't this person do, like, you know what I mean? There's like
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
thousands of questions of, well, I would have resolved it this, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that they're going to wrap up the multiverse stuff within the next 2 to 10 years.
Right. So like
nice.
2
defeat
years.
Kang the Conqueror and go back to like one timeline.
That's what I'm thinking.
I still think Kang's going to be a mini boss. I like our collective
Oh no,
theory.
that have we talked about that?
We haven't talked about it on. We've talked about it outside, but we haven't talked about it on the podcast
this,
because
yet.
we
Okay.
we have a prediction that there's a bigger villain at play.
Oh, that's right.
Bigger, much
And
bigger.
since
I
we
for-
told that theory, we've had some news come out that's kind of leaning towards our theory.
Okay, all right. Okay, so well, I guess we'll have to talk about that next time.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next time.
Any final thoughts, Jace?
No.
No.
I'm gonna say two things. First, I still think it's movie theater worthy. Go see it.
Yeah, I
know,
mean, it. Yeah,
you got
worth
nothing
the
to
time.
If you don't think of it as Venom, it's an okay movie.
If you like comedies, this is the movie for
Oh,
you. I knew that get you.
Coming out this Halloween,
It's,
a zany new comedy.
The comedy version of Parasite or something.
Oh my god. The second thing I wanted to say is
Venom, 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 Venom.